Hey y'all, it's Brijin, the Museum Stitcher here on Flosstube, but also over on Instagram, Ravelry, and Goodreads. Welcome to my channel. This is my little corner of the internet where I talk about my crafting life, mostly about cross stitch. Today I have cross stitch and books. Welcome if you're new here, hi, and if you're returning, or if this is your first regular video of mine since I posted my 2023 end of year whip parade, welcome. I hope that you like how I regularly run things over here on this channel. And if you like what you see, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. You guys know I love hearing from you and I read every single one. So I always appreciate hearing from you guys. Today is January 13th. It's a Saturday and it's been about maybe 4 weeks since I filmed. I think I threw an extra week in there because of the whip parade to kind of space things out a little bit. The last time I filmed was December 16th, and I have done a lot of stitching in the meantime. So I've got a lot to share with you today. I'm really excited to get to chit chat with you. Happy New Year. This is my first Flosstube of 2024. Please forgive me if I sound a little off. I've had a massive cold all week, and I have been living, breathing hot tea in an effort to kind of get it to go away. But if I have to take breaks, or if you see me pause to drink some tea, or blow my nose, that's why. I hope that you guys are all staying warm and safe. This will probably go up on Monday, which I live in Texas, is supposed to get pretty nasty around here weather-wise, and I know most of the country is the same way. So if you're in the US or anywhere cold, I hope you're staying warm. But yeah, today I've got some new starts. I've got a couple finishes. I have whip progress. We're gonna talk plans a little bit, what I did on my New Year's Eve 12 by 12, and yeah, just some exciting stuff. So I hope that you have a beverage, have some stitching, and join me as we chit chat a little bit today about what I've been up to crafting wise. Okay, so before I get into the stitching too deep today, I have a couple of announcements that I wanted to share at the top of my video, because I know not everyone watches all the way to the end, which is totally fine. But I wanted to get these announcements out there. So first up is a stitching plan that I hope you will join me and my friends in doing. But I was talking with my stitchy besties, Marjorie Made, Cam the Stitcher, and Megan the Seattle Stitcher. And we are planning in the month of February to do Pink February. I don't know that we have like a hashtag together or anything, but we are making an effort to work on projects in the month of February that have pink, whether that's pink fabric or pink floss or pink vibes, I don't know. We are planning on doing that to kind of mix up our whips for the month. So for me, I'm going to be focusing on Real Comfort, which is my pink on pink sampler, to see if I can maybe get that finished. And then I've got a few other pieces that I'll talk about later as well, but I wanted to drop that announcement at the top of the video just in case you didn't stick around for the plans chat. If you guys want to join us in doing Pink February, please do. Surprising amount of cross stitches have pink on them, which I love. I love pink. And yeah, so Pink February. My second fun and exciting announcement is that I actually was invited to go along to Nashville Needlework Market this year. I am going to be helping out Liz of Hello from Liz Mathews run her booth and her sales, and I am so excited. It looked so much fun seeing Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch go last year, and I mean, it's like such a cool opportunity to get to go and meet people. So if you're gonna be there, please come to Liz's thing and say hi to me. I would love to see you. And if you're not following me on Instagram, I am on Instagram as the Museum Stitcher as well. And follow me there. I'll be posting on my story throughout my journey. So that'll be happening in March, which is something really exciting to look forward to. But yeah, I'll be going to Nashville Needlework Market, and I'm so excited to get to see all the new releases and to get to have a fun time. I have friends in Tennessee that I'll get to say hi to as well, which is always also a good time. But those are my like fun and exciting things that have happened in my life since I have chit-chatted with you last. Other than that, everything has pretty much been the exact same. Work has been extremely busy, but you know, that's just what happens. Okay, so that's it. So let's get into the stitching and enough of my rambling. So I figured we would start off today with my two finishes that I've had since I talked to you last. And we're gonna go out of order just because I already have one prepped. But my first finish, I will pop a picture of what this project looked like in my last floss tube, which was floss tube number 34. And I was sitting at about 38.4% complete with this project. And I have since finished it, so I've done a lot on this one. This is my model stitch for Hello from Liz Mathews for the upcoming Nashville Needlework Market, and this is Abuzz at Midnight. So I don't get to keep this finished. I'm sending it off to Liz, but it's gonna be so exciting to get to see it fully finished and framed, and I loved working on this piece. I've essentially been monogamous on it for the last couple of weeks, and it is so stunning. So this one is stitched with NPI silks on a piece of fabric that I can finally tell you about. I've had to keep the name of this fabric secret, but since Fiber on a Whim has made a post announcing it, I feel comfortable telling you guys about it. So this is 36 count Sapphire linen by Fiber on a Whim, which is an upcoming release as well. And it is the most incredible fabric. It's showing up very true to color on camera, it looks like. But let me get you in close on the stitching here. This is stitched 2/2 on 36, which isn't normally my favorite, but I will say I do like the end result. I think it looks great. There's a couple long stitches, straight stitches, but other than that, it's all full cross. So look forward to seeing this one as an upcoming release at Needlework Market, and you can contact your local LNS to pick it up for you there and bring it back to you. So super excited. I can't wait to see how Liz frames this one or finishes it for display there. So this will be one of her upcoming releases this market season, and I'm super glad that I was able to share my experience stitching it with you as I went, just because this had been previously released on her Patreon. But absolutely stunning. And so this marks my first finish of 2024, which is super exciting, and also the completion of my first Whip Go goal and my first Pick a Whip prompt for this year. So this is my first full year participating in Whip Go. It hasn't worked for me in the past, but I'm making a real effort to see if it just was me at the time or if the system just isn't for me, which is fine. But my goal on this was to finish it, and I did finish it. So I did cheat my January Whip Go picks, but I mean, of course I'm gonna cheat my January Whip Go picks. Everything else I've marked out. I finished out my board, but I make the rules, and I cheated this pick because I had to get this done, and I was gonna get the check mark for it either way. So that is Abuzz at Midnight by Hello from Liz Mathews. Keep an eye out for the full release of this in a couple months. Okay, my second finish that I have to share with you today was my last finish of 2023. And this is kind of a finish, kind of still an existing whip, but I'm gonna count it as a finish because I finished it's sold as one piece, so I'm gonna count it as that finish. But this is what it looked like last time you saw it. This is the second day of Christmas the first day of Christmas by Hello from Liz Mathews. I am moving on to the second day of Christmas, but the reason that it's still a whip is I'm stitching all of them on one giant piece of fabric. But I finished the first day, which is awesome. I am stitching this with my friends Cam and Megan. Cam's doing the trees, but we are trying to finish one day of Christmas every 2 months. And there's a couple months that have 3, or a couple samplers that have 3, and there's like a grace month. And we did the math and we figured out we would be completing the series at the end of 2025 if we stuck with the schedule. So that's a schedule I'm trying to keep up with, and that meant finishing this by the end of December of 2023. And I did. This is on 46 count Fiber on a Whim cream and sugar linen, and it is a huge cut. This is it folded in half. And it goes all the way down here. I'm stitching 4 across and 3 down. It comes out to almost square that way, but I'm stitching this with the called for NPI silks. And this was originally a start for me in 2021, but I UFO'd it and restarted it on a different fabric because I was originally stitching it 1/1, and I just didn't want to do that much 1/1 stitching. But I started this on, when did I start this? November 1st of 2023, and I finished it on December 28th. So just under the wire, but I've done the math and I figured out this month in January, I need to finish half of the second day of Christmas, which is about, I think, 2,600 stitches. So I will be getting on that in the second half of this month and plugging away on this. But I'm obsessed with it. I think it's so beautiful. And it felt really good to actually knock out this finish. I love it. I love it so much. This is a really fun series. Lots of people have been stitching them. The trees are really gorgeous, but I just wanted like this ginormous heirloom sampler to look at, and it's definitely going to be that. It's also a long-term whip, so I gotta love it for a while, but I'm keeping this one in a Mad for Plaid project bag by the Fat Quarter Shop, just because there's a lot of stuff in here between the patterns that I have in paper form and thread beds and my silks and everything. It's a lot to keep track of, so big bag for this one, but it will stay by my stitching spot since it's going to be a pretty consistent whip for the next 2 years if everything goes right. And that's it for finishes, just those two. But I did have a couple new starts that I snuck in before the start of 2024, so we'll move on to those next. Okay, my first new start I snuck in on December 30th of 2023 because I was trying to hit 50 new starts for the year by the end of the year, just to make it a nice even round number. And so I had to do 2 starts toward the end of the year, and this was my first one. This is Olga by Plum Street Samplers. I've had this on my list to stitch for forever. I've loved it for a long time, and I finally bit the bullet and started it. So I'm not gonna bother with my board for this one because it's very small. But I am doing mine on a 36 count Flannel Flower linen by Fox and Rabbit, which is one of my favorite linens of all time. And I am using the called for Classic Colorworks, just a couple colors. And really the DMC would be totally fine for this one with how small it is. This one, I am sitting at about 6.6% complete, or 213 stitches out of 3,223. But this is just what I've gotten done. It was just like one quick stitchy session. I didn't even devote an entire full night to it. I just did enough to say I started it. But yeah, I love it. Just as called for. There you go. Get you in on that linen. Isn't the modeling on that so pretty? So just a small start on this one, but I thought it would also be nice to have a smaller chart to pull out when I wanted something that was a faster finish, or I wanted just something a little smaller to cart around. And the 36 count linen is really easy to see. I'm using 1 strand over 2 threads, and I think it looks great. So this is actually the top of the piece right here, and this is the center. So I'm actually like, that's half the pattern. I'm doing pretty good. So that is Olga by Plum Street Samplers. I'm super happy to have that one started. And I've been watching a lot of whip parades pretty recently here there's been a ton of awesome ones that have come out. And several Flosstubers have like picked words of the year that they're using not just for stitching, but also for personal life. And I really love that idea. And a lot of them have been using this word that really stuck with me, which is intentionality with their stitching. And as someone who's doing a low starts year, where I'm not just starting everything on a whim, I want to be more intentional about what I'm starting, what I feel it's adding to my whip pile, if I actually like it, or if I'm just being swept up in Startapalooza, or, FOMO, of fear of missing out. And for me, Olga is definitely one that I can see myself displaying. It fits with my vibe, and I love it, and I don't have a lot of small pieces started. So it does fill kind of a hole in my whip pile that way. And so I really like the idea of looking at my starts and what I'm going to be doing with a little bit more intentionality. And yeah, I just think that's kind of cool. So I think I heard Katie of So Tattered talking about that. I think Carrie of Tiger Lily has a word of the year. But I've also watched a lot of whip parades, and so I'm kind of confusing things in my head. But I just loved that idea. So that was my first start. My second start was on New Year's Eve. So if you're not familiar, New Year's Eve is kind of big for cross stitch, weirdly, because Kia of Kia Bee Quilting and Pam of Just Keep Stitching started this thing called the New Year's Eve 12 by 12. Sorry, my brain is going a bunch of different places. The New Year's Eve 12 by 12. And essentially what it is on New Year's Eve, starting at noon, you sit down and you cross stitch and you start 12 things in the 12 hours leading up to the new year with a new start the first hour of the new year. And it's really fun. This is my second year participating. And it's kind of grown into this bigger thing where you don't necessarily have to have new starts. There are people who do all existing whips, which is what I did last year. People do half and half. People do monogamous. People do 6 projects that they work on for 2 hours each. Like, it's really customizable. And I think it's really fun as someone who doesn't tend to do a lot on New Year's anyway. I love this. And so I decided for my personal 12 by 12 that what I would do was start a project at noon and then work on it monogamously for those 12 hours and kind of document what progress I get hour to hour and see how far I can get on a piece in one day. And it was so much fun. I loved it so much, much more than I thought I did. And I started Margaret Hull 1872 by Quaint Needlearts. I was stuck between this and Blackberry House by Plum Street. Turns out I actually didn't have Blackberry House kitted. I thought I did. So we started this one. And I'm keeping it in this kind of travel-y looking bag with these gorgeous postage stamped interior from the 805 Stitcher. And this is what mine looks like. I am stitching it on 36 count Dirty Porcelain linen by Roxy Floss Co with the called for DMC. And my needle minder is a Taylor Swift needle minder that I made myself out of an enamel pin. And that's what I got done. So that is 12 hours worth of work. I got 1,385 stitches completed, which on this chart breaks down to almost 15%, which is awesome. And I love this. I love this piece. The DMC, there's quite a few, but they are beautiful. And I love the way it's looking on this linen. Like, look at that bird. So if you are interested in seeing how that broke down, you can check out my Instagram. I made a reel that shows the hour to hour progress, and it's really fun to watch the bird kind of come up out of nothing. And I also have it pinned as a highlight on my story, a story highlight also on my Instagram. So you can find both of those there if you're interested to see how it actually went hour by hour. But this is the progress I made, and it was a lot of fun. I definitely think I'll do a monogamous 12 by 12 again. I didn't quite feel as rushed or as panicked to get in as much stitching per hour. Like, I kind of took it a little bit more relaxed, and it was really nice. So that's where I got to with this one. I don't know when I'm going to pick it back up again, but when I do, I'm planning on finishing out the bird first, and then there's like motifs that go around it. And then there's like these stitch stars here and a satin stitch border. I think I'm going to leave off the satin stitch border because one of the things that I love about this chart so much is how open and airy it is. And I don't want to lose that by kind of closing it in. I think it'll be really pretty framed with just no border. I may take that row of stars and repeat it at the bottom, but at least I have a chunk in on the bird and a pretty solid start if I do say so myself. So that was my second new start, and my last new start for a while. So what I'm doing with my new starts, because I said I'm doing low starts, not no starts, because I still am gonna want to start things, and I make enough progress on my whips that I feel like I can start things. But the issue is I keep starting big pieces and then I don't get as much progress on those. So what I'm doing with some of my friends is my plan is to do a free space start once every quarter or every 3 months. I can just start something whenever I want it. And it looks like for this quarter, this first quarter, I think that's going to be Blackberry House by Plum Street, just because I still really want to start that. But beyond that, I have to earn my starts. And that means that I have to finish 2 things in order to start 1. And I think it's going to be really fun to kind of force myself to get in finishes and to actually like pick up and work through these larger pieces that I started. And then that way, because I'm having to earn the starts, I'm being a little bit more thoughtful about what it is I'm starting and how bad I actually want to stitch that thing specifically. And I'm really excited about that because I did UFO quite a bit last year. And the goal is to try and not UFO as many things because I'm starting things that I'm not actually that passionate about, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was my last new start for at least the month of January. I'm doing no starts this month. I think I may do my new start in February. Okay, so moving on to whips. I worked on 3 whips in the last several weeks. Like I said, I've been pretty monogamous. I've gotten a good bit of progress on things. But the first project that I worked on, it's not this one, was the Fox by Cottage Garden Samplings. I love this chart. This has been in my whip pile for a long time. And I will show you a picture here of what it looked like the last time you saw it, which was in my last regular floss tube. I was sitting at, what was I sitting at? 56.1% complete, but this is my second whip go call for the month of January. And I haven't completed my whip go goal, which is 1,500 stitches yet, because I would really like to get this finished soon. So I put in a pretty big goal on this one, but it's fine. But this is what I've gotten done. This is what it looks like now. I did about 418 stitches on this guy. And essentially all I did was fill in this haunch with the light orange color and kind of start closing in his tail. But I'm stitching mine on 40 count Morning Mist linen by Forbidden Fiber Company with all the called for threads, which is mostly DMC. Needle minder came from Fangirl Fibers a while back. So you'll see this again in my next video because I do need to do about 1,000 more stitches on him to hit my goal. And that will actually leave me with just 1,500 stitches to a finish. So fingers crossed that maybe I can get this done. We're gonna see. I might try and see if I can get this finished by the end of January, but because I have some other goals that I'll tell you about here in a second, I don't know that it's going to happen, but at least if I can get it really close, I can knock it out in a little bit. So that's him. That's what he's looking like, so close to a finish. These little Cottage Garden Samplings charts, this is part of the Year in the Woods series, and this is what the floss ring looks like. But these charts are deceptive because they look so small and adorable, and you get into them and there's actually like a good bit of stitching left. I have this in a fox bag I got from Little Boat 88 on Etsy, and I would love to have this bag for others' charts. That's kind of the other exciting thing about focusing on all these finishes this year is actually freeing up some of my project bags and floss drops once I start getting things finished. Okay, and then I worked on 2 other whips. The next one that I worked on was one that I am working on to get a finish this year. So I have picked 3 projects that I am trying to hit consistent goals with every month for the rest of the year. And you have seen one of them, which is the Days of Christmas, because I do want to finish half a sampler every month. So that's the first one. The second one I'm about to show you here, and the third one is the Vanity Sampler by Hello from Liz Mathews. And this one that I'm about to show you, which is Song of the Nightingale by Modern Folk Embroidery, is one that if I stick with the schedule that I've set for myself, I will have it finished by the end of this year. So that's very exciting. I'm stitching this with paper crane stitches on Instagram, and I love it. I love this piece. I've loved it for forever. I'm doing my own color conversion on it, and I'll pop up a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it. But I hit my goal for this month on this one, so it'll be going away until February. But I was sitting at 4.4% complete, or just over 1,000 stitches, and I have since done my other 1,000 stitches. So this piece has a grand total of 24,007 in cross stitches, which by that breakdown is 2,000 stitches a month, and it's finished at the end of the year. So I only had to do 1,000 stitches this month because in December I did 1,000. So I hit my 1,000 stitches, which isn't super exciting because essentially what I did is I just finished the decorative border all the way across. So this is the full width of the piece now, which is really exciting. This is called for to be in shades of blue, but I changed mine to be all DMC 2 colors of pink, and then 783 is the gold color. So again, it's not like super exciting progress, but my plan with this one is to finish the decorative borders because I can count and make sure, oh, there's supposed to be 15 flowers. And then with these straight line borders that are on the outside and the inside, I can just stitch in hand and I don't have to worry about counting my stitches, just as long as I get to go around the borders. So I'm doing the counting work now so that in a couple months I'll have some really easy stitching months, if that makes sense. So my next plan will be to go down here and across here with this decorative border. But this is stitched on a 36 count heirloom lace linen by Color and Cotton with 1 strand of floss. I love 1-stranded stitching on 36 count, and it's really long and not very tall. So it's a little hard to show on camera or photograph, but you know, this is what it's looking like. So this will be a finish in 2024 as long as I keep up with my monthly goal. And I did for this month. So next month in February, it's in pink floss, so it fits with pink February. I will be pulling this out to get 2,000 more stitches done. And then I think this is probably gonna be the project that I travel with for market, just because it is really easy to see all the holes. It's only 3 colors of DMC, and I think I can get to a point where I'm just doing that really easy border stitching. So this will probably be my travel project for that. This is another Little Boat 88 project bag that this one lives in. And yeah, so I'm gonna go put this back in my stitching spot and it will come out in February. It's really fun having these kind of overarching goals, and I'm really into it right now. Okay, and then the final project that I worked on since I talked to you last, I don't actually have with me to show you, but this is Quaker Gardens by Hello from Liz Mathews. I am stitching this as a round robin with my stitchy friends. And essentially what we did is we broke it up into these Quaker flowers, and everyone is stitching on everyone's pieces. So by the end, all your friends have worked on your project. And we're all doing monochromatic except for my friend Marjorie, who's having us all stitch on her piece with our chosen colors. And so hers is very colorful and gorgeous. But I worked on these for Pick-a-Whip as well. My friend Marjorie has this whip rotation system that she came up with that is so much fun, called Pick-a-Whip, and it's a prompt-based stitching rotation. And the prompt was Quaker and linen. And here it was, and I had to work on it anyway. So I worked on my friend Megan's project, and Megan is stitching on hers with a 40 count Olympia linen by Mystic Fabrics, I believe, with Dinky Dye's Twilight floss. So pretty. That light blue floss is gorgeous, and Dinky Dye's is so soft and easy to work with. I love it. And then I worked on my friend Elizabeth's project. I got my flower done on her piece as well. Hers is stitched 2/2 on 36 count Mermaid Mules linen by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers with a shade of DMC 3842, I want to say. But between those two projects, I got 1,466 stitches in, and yeah, so I'm feeling really good. I think Alexis just mailed me Cam's project to work on, and then I have Marjorie's project, and I'm done. So I only have 2 more of my friends' projects to work on, and then I've done everything. And I think my project is sitting with Megan right now, and so after that, just Alexis has to stitch on it, and I'll get it back. But it's really exciting. This pattern is gorgeous. I'm obsessed with it. I think it's so pretty, and I can't wait to have mine back to finish up and get framed. And that is everything I worked on. So quite a bit of stitching. On my model stitch alone, I did, let's see, on my model stitch, I did 5,475 stitches since December 16th, out of a grand total of like 8,000. So super exciting. I love that. Okay, so moving on from projects, I've now entered the stage of the video where I'm going to talk about my tiny bit of haul and my plans, and then we'll move into book chat. So if you want to see more stitchy stuff, hang around, and I'll let you know when to hop off before I start talking about books. So as far as plans, the next couple of weeks I have kind of already mapped out. I started using Notion to track my cross stitch, and I'm using the Stitching a Tee template, which I love, and I'll show you a picture here. I modified the monthly views to kind of have a goals dashboard at the top for me. So this is my January dashboard, and I basically just kind of brain dump everything I want to work on and then kind of divide it out into what I think are manageable chunks. So you can see I started off by doing my main 3 goals for every month, which is half of a Days of Christmas, 1,700 stitches on Vanity Sampler, and 2,000 stitches on Song of the Nightingale. And then after that, I'm able to plug in other goals, decide focus projects. I have it pulling my Pick-a-Whip and my Whip Go calls for those months, so I can see everything there that I want to work on in that month and get done. And it's been really helpful for me kind of planning what I'm going to take places, because I struggled a lot with project indecision, where I just was overwhelmed because I had so many amazing choices and I wanted to stitch on everything. And so then I would just kind of sit there and not know what to work on, and it made me feel kind of disorganized, and I didn't like that. And I get that planning this much might not be for everyone, but at least for me, kind of knowing what I want to get done and seeing it in one place has kind of helped me figure out what I'm actually devoting my time to and use it a little bit more efficiently. And I'm really liking it so far. If it ever stops working for me, I'll stop doing it. But as of right now in January, I really like this. So that being said, for the rest of the month, I'm going to hit my goal on Vanity Sampler. And I'm going to finish out my second Whip Go call, which is another 1,000 stitches on the Fox. We'll see if maybe I can actually finish it. And then start the second day of Christmas. And that's it. If I have any more beyond that, I think any free days, I will work on my projects that have Whip birthdays that month, which I've also put on that kind of overarching goals page, which for me this month is Beatrix Potter Quaker Sampler and At the Met by Mirabilia. So those two I will probably pull out just for one day at some point to break things up and just to make sure that all of my projects get touched at least in their birthday month, if not on their Whip birthday. And yeah, I'm really liking that so far. So that's kind of stitchy plans for the rest of the month. And then starting February, I will reset my goals, get my new Whip Go calls for that month, my new Pick-a-Whipped prompts, and kind of get going on Pink February. That's kind of the plan as of right now. Okay, so that being said, I do have a little bit of haul, not much, but my friend Liz Mathews was so incredibly kind, and she did not have to do this, but she actually sent me a gift card to thank me for model stitching for her, which you did not have to do that, Liz, but I did go shopping. And I got the Colorful Flosses for Blackberry House by Plum Street Samplers, which I have in here, and then I pulled some fabric from my stash for it. I'm thinking I may have to go a little deeper, but I am obsessed with it. These colors are beautiful, and I anticipate there is a pink. I anticipate this being my Q1 start for the year 2024, just because everyone and their mother is stitching it or has stitched it. I know Cross Stitch Kate has finished it. Lauren, the New Hampshire Stitcher, finished it. Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch finished it. Sarah of Sarah's Stitchery has it as a whip, and it's beautiful, and I need it. And I've wanted it for a long time. So got that kitted up, and that will probably be my next new start next month. So got the flosses for that, and with the rest of the gift card, I picked up a couple charts, which is Promise of Spring by Cottage Garden Samplings. I saw this first on Jessie Marie Does Stuff on her channel, and it's beautiful, and I love it, and I'm obsessed with it. And tulips are very special for me. The area of Texas that I live in northern Texas, was heavily Dutch settled at one point, and so we actually have a lot of tulip fields, and you can go and pick tulips. There's a great spot out in Pilot Point that I've spent several birthdays of mine, my birthday's in March, picking tulips, and so I love that. I'm debating on if I'm going to stitch the word or if I'm going to carry on these kind of snowflakey motifs on the side over, but there's also a little robin bird there. It's just so pretty. So I'm really excited because I contacted the folks over at Color and Cotton, and they put together a beautiful color and cotton conversion for me for this, so that will be coming with my next Fabric of the Month club. But yeah, had to pick up the pattern for that because I've been eyeing that for a really long time. And the second chart is also by Plum Street Samplers. They're one of my favorite designers. And this is the Spring Salt Boxes. There's a huge stitch along going on for these with Lauren and Caitlin, and I think Jessica Sweetwater Stitcher also, where they're stitching these one every season. I think the stitch along is over, maybe, but I decided I need to start slowly kitting these up. And since we're heading into spring, I started with the spring ones. I mean, look at those blue houses. And these are just fun little smalls that I thought it might be nice to start when I've finished a couple smaller things to kind of keep, like I said, intentionality. I don't have a lot of smalls, and it would be nice to have a couple smalls with like easy stitching the way these look. Like once you mapped out the house and the roof, you could do fill-in stitching. So that's what I got with my gift card. So thank you, Liz. I got some great charts and some beautiful flosses, and I'm really looking forward to getting those going and kitted up from my stash. Then I got my Fabric of the Month clubs, which I am in the Bestitch Me Fabric of the Month this month. This is the color Into the Veil, and it is the most gorgeous, like light pistachio green gray. It's pulling a little bit more green on camera than it actually is, but it's like the lightest, palest mint chip ice cream with a little bit more of like a cloudy fog over it. It's such a unique fabric. It's so beautiful. I think this will actually be perfect for the Garden Side sampler by Hello from Liz Mathews, which I have all the DMC for, but oh, I love that. So that was my Bestitch Me Fabric of the Month. This is 40 count, but I am switching starting next month to 36 just to beef up my stash of 36 a little bit more. And then I also get the Color and Cotton Fabric of the Month. This is my other 40 count, and this month it's called Mushroom Bold, which is this gorgeous mushroomy color. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's a little bit green, it's a little bit yellow, a little bit gray. It's like a gorgeous neutral. I'm in both of the clubs are neutral clubs just because I have a really good stash. I really love my stash. I know some people don't love building stash, but there's not often that I have to actually go purchase fabric for a specific piece unless it has like a very unique fabric color or vibe. And with these neutrals, I'm able to just kit stuff up at home and kind of see and make things work. And I really love that. And then I get 3 flosses of the month every month just to add to my collection, which this month is Abyss, Merlot, and Coffee Bean, which is a gorgeous little combo. This blue is like yummy. So yeah, that is my little stash builders of the month. And that is all my purchases and my plans. So we will move now into book chat. So if this is where you leave me, if you don't want to hear about my reading journey, thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and leave me a spool of thread emoji today. On my channel, I typically ask if you've made it to a certain point in my video to leave me a specific emoji. And I love seeing whether or not you type out that you're meaning to send an emoji because you can't find it, or you actually send the emoji. It really does brighten my day to see those. So just tell me hi, let me know what you worked on, how your New Year's going, if you're reading anything good, all those kinds of things. And if you're sticking with me for book chat, let me get reset and we'll get going. Okay, I did realize I forgot a goal, but I'm also working on Sarah Moon 1791 with my girlfriends on the full moon of every month. And that's coming up on the 25th. So I'll be working on that day. Okay, and then books. So book-wise, I haven't done a lot of reading, but I am kicking off the new year with a bang. I didn't hit my Goodreads goal last year, which really hurts. I set it for 100 books, and somewhere at the end of October, I got punched into a reading slump and I never came out of it. And it really stings. I am not happy with myself about it, but you can't change the past. And so moving forward this year, I've set a lower goal for myself because a lot of the books that I want to read this year are ginormous high fantasies that are going to take a little bit longer. And so kind of factoring in the fact that I'm going to be reading longer books and not quite as many, I've set a goal of 75 books this year, which I have hit in the past very easily. Last year I read 90 books in 2023, 3. So I got close to my goal, but no dice. So we'll see. And don't ever let me plan anything at the end of the year again, because I get overwhelmed and I fall off. So, so far this year, I decided to kick things off with a light reread that was really fun. And I read all 5 of the original Percy Jackson books. So this might not be the most helpful book chat for you if you're looking for recommendations from me, but I loved this. So I am a Percy Jackson kid. Typically one of the mile markers of my generation, I am a zillennial, which is I'm right in the border of the last years of millennial and the first years of Gen Z. So depending on what crowds I'm around, I tend to be either. In my own house, I tend to identify more millennial because my younger brother is so solidly Gen Z that he makes me feel old. And we only have a 3-year age difference. But yeah, one of the markers of being a zillennial is reading Percy Jackson, the way millennials read Harry Potter. And I was a huge Percy Jackson kid. It came out in 2005 when I was a little younger than Percy was when the book started, and I devoured them. I went through a heavy Greek mythology phase that I kind of never left. I've always loved mythology and retelling, and I just love these books. They spark such good nostalgia for me. They're so well written and engaging as an adult reader as well. Obviously, like, the lens that I'm looking through is biased because I have nostalgia, and that's pretty powerful. But with the new show that's come out on Disney Plus, I was just like, I need to reread these. I haven't read them since I was a kid, and they absolutely hold up. I love these books, and the new show is so good. I literally cried when it started because they started it off already better than the original movie adaptation did. And just as someone who is such a huge fan of these books, it is so amazing to see it on screen with a worthy adaptation. So definitely go check that out if you haven't yet. I was a huge Annabeth girly, and the portrayal of Annabeth in the new show is great. I love it. And so I read these books, and that's all I've read since I talked to you last. But I highly encourage you to go back and read something from your childhood this month. It really does. It didn't require a lot of brain cells. I was engaged. It brought back a lot of memories. Like, weirdly, I have this specific memory of reading The Titan's Curse, which is the 3rd book in the series, in the back corner of my mom's office at the chiropractic office she used to work at on a sick day. They stuck me in the back because I was homesick, but my mom still had to go to work, and so I went to work with her, and I was just sitting in the back with a white noise machine reading The Titan's Curse, sick out of my mind. And it's just weird that I'd forgotten about that until I was reading the book, and I was like, oh, I remember reading this in that moment. So if you have not read a piece of literature from your childhood that you loved, highly recommend doing so. It's a great way to kick off the reading year with not a lot of brain power, and it got me really ready in the mood to sit down and read again. So I'm currently reading The Iron Flame, which is the 2nd book in the 4th Wing series, and so many things are happening. I have so many thoughts and panic. I'm halfway through it, and things are happening. And then after that, my plan is to do a Crescent City read through before the 3rd Crescent City book drops at the end of January, which also stressed, but it's fine. So I'm doing a little bit of rereading just to get myself back in the mood and hopefully not continue my reading slump. And yeah, so we're spreading out. We're sprinkling in new reads and old reads, and that's what the vibe is right now. So all of that being said, that's the official end of today's video. Ending off with 5 books read so far in 2024 as of day 13. But yeah, I hope that you guys read something great, that you kick off your new year with amazing reading or stitching goals, or no goals, because no goals is also great. And that you stay warm with this cold weather, or warm weather if you're in the southern hemisphere, because y'all are in the height of summer and not everywhere is cold. But I hope that you guys have an amazing couple of weeks, and I will check in with you again in about 3. So if you care to stick around and see what my stitching journey looks like, please subscribe, like, comment, and I'll talk to you guys later. Stay warm.